the side, even if you put it on the side of his house.
Those houses are so small. They're not going to be able
The barn will be in front of it.
Yeah.
to sell it.
It is, but it's
Isn't this the one we went lay down?
No,
yeah,
but
unusable.
nobody can see.
What is this today?
That was last.
Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all. A real quick note, if you haven't seen it already, the Valentine Plaza application has been tabled. If you're here for that, I apologize for you coming out. I will get back to you. It's either going to be the April 3rd, but likely the April 17th meeting that application will be heard again. Couple of housekeeping matters. Emergency exits, if you see off to the sides, also in the lobby. Either way, hopefully you came in one of those exits. Restrooms are in that lobby area. Please be sure to sign in. I'd appreciate that. There's also business cards at the back table and with phone numbers if you need to contact us. Also at the back table, there are resolutions that we will use tonight for each application that we hear. If you would, please turn off your cell phone, silence them. If you have any conversations that do not relate to the application itself, please take them outside. Also, as the applicant or the public, when you are asked to come forward, please let us know who you are. Also, as you speak, we will do our very best not to speak over you and vice versa. Please don't speak over us, because what Amber is doing here is creating a record. And the record is, as much as some people know, it is word for word of who said what, where, and when. As far as exhibits go, if you have an exhibit that you want to refer to, it might be on the screen, do your very best to use descriptive words. Because if we read in our minutes, well, if you can see over here and over there, that doesn't translate very well in print. If you say things like, to the north of the structure, or structures specific to the garage, or what I'm getting at is use your descriptive words as best as you possibly can. If there's new exhibits that you have for us, we would certainly welcome new exhibits. Just if you would provide us a copy of them so that we can keep it in our record and we know which exhibit that we're referring to. All right. Next, I would like to have everyone, at least on the board, take a look at the minutes, February 6, 2023, and if they're ready, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I make that motion.
Thank you, Fred. We need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Alexis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Thanks so much. Okay, Van Bortel. Anyone here for Van Bortel? Lucky you. You need an extension.
That's it.
And you are?
My name is Brad Humberstone. I'm with Mitchell Design Build.
Okay. And could you give us a brief idea of what it is? What is unforeseen circumstances related to the current economic landscape? What does that mean?
Pretty self-explanatory. The automotive industry is a little tough right now, but obviously Kitty Van Bortel is looking to, at least a year ago, was looking to expand the parking lot, and that has not happened within this year. So the goal is to push that out another 6 months with the intentions of doing that again. So keeping it open, keeping our options on the table, and exercising our zoning board rights here, and extending it by 6 months.
Okay, so you're thinking that this project will be underway within the next 6 months?
That's the goal, yes.
Fred, questions, concerns?
No.
Matt? Alexis?
None.
Leah?
No.
Anyone from the public want to speak for or against? Okay, very good. With that, and the way you've explained it, I don't think there's any issue with it. I would entertain a motion for approval for extension for 6 months. That would be starting today.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Alexis. A second?
Second.
Second is Matt. Any further discussion? Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Very good. Good luck to you, and
Thank you so much.
next is the O'Shea application, 145 Baker, seeking an area variance to place a barn forward of the front line of a home.
Hello,
And you are?
this is Trevor O'Shea. This is Alexandria O'Shea.
Okay. So what normally happens is the applicant starts first, would you?
Okay.
Do you want us to help you a little bit, or do you think you can get it up and running with what you're looking for and why it is that you want a barn forward of your property line, excuse me, your residence?
Yeah, so as you can see, our yard is kind of circled by trees and doesn't really have a view from neighbors or the road. We picked the spot that we want to, which is in front of the house, because it's flat. Our septic tank is behind the house. It's open. We don't have to cut any trees there. Yeah, it's on the lower left-hand side of that open space. And it really just makes sense, in our opinion.
All right, so I think you, in your application, you're on 7.5 acres,
Yep,
and you also had two of your neighbors that they weren't objecting to it. Is that accurate?
yeah, they're I guess, the two that would be the closest in that corner. So I guess in that picture on the bottom and on the right, those are the neighbors that we went to and asked if, they had any objection.
So it's 175, they don't object?
Correct.
What's the other one?
6950 Valentine, and we didn't ask anyone else, so.
Okay. All right, Fred, do you have any questions?
No, this lot is so big, and it's almost a technical issue that it's in front of the house, because you would hardly know it. So I think this is a good
Matt, questions?
What do you want to do in the pole barn?
Right now, we just need extra space, so for storage, general storage
Okay.
right now, and,
It's not, you're not like running a business or anything like
Oh,
that? You're just
no,
like
no.
personal stuff and,
yeah.
I agree with Fred.
Yeah, with the, I was actually curious with, in front of the house too, because I was like, our house is kind of angled, our house isn't directly towards the road, so I guess, what is the actual rule? Is it like straight line to the road or driveway? Like, I wasn't even totally clear on that, but I guess I'm just curious.
Driveway is going to dictate where the front of the house is, not your front door. I know it seems to be intuitive that your front door would dictate where the front house is, but
Yeah,
the way that it looks. So what you have is where your driveway is, albeit it's winding. You then look to the closest corner to then the roadway. All right, you see what, at least what I'm referring to, I think it's going to be just to the left of, all print, what is it, 52.3 feet wide? Is that the width of your home?
I can't see from here, but
All right.
that might be
So
right.
it's, what I'm trying to get at is, it's just to the left of the 5, that corner.
Okay.
And I don't see a compass direction. Oh, there it is, north. So it's going to be the west corner of the home, and then a line to the road.
Okay.
So
So it
then
makes
if
it
you draw
even
a
closer.
if you draw a perpendicular line from that corner, you can see where the proposed barn is going to be. It's in front of that corner.
Gotcha.
All right, make sense?
Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Did I ask you? You're good with questions?
I'm good.
All right. Alexis, questions?
Any questions? You guys already want to, got your engineering study done. You're not gonna have to cut down any trees, which is great for the town's conservation. I'm good.
Right. Leah, questions?
Yes, I have one question on one of your elevation view drawings. On the elevation for the gable end, this is drawing, there's no number on it. Oh, yes, drawing A-1.1. It shows it the elevation for the actual barn, but it should, excuse me, it shows the length of the actual barn, for that elevation. But it should also show the width, including the gables. So, the engineer should just make that.
The
Make
eaves.
that, the eaves, excuse me, that's what I meant. He should make that notation on this drawing, before it's submitted for final.
Okay, we could ask them for that.
Do you know what the width of the eave is? That's going to count for the distance of the overall width, and also it looks like the length as well. You know
Is
what
that the
it is?
overhang?
Right, the eave. So your, the drawing, the elevation shows 32 feet. But then it also shows that there is a dimension for the eave. You have to include that as well for,
Some municipalities measure from the footers of the wall, so to speak. We measure from the farthest out, so we measure from the eave. So if each eave is a foot,
Yeah.
then add 2 feet, and that's really the box that we would measure from. So as we say you're allowed to be, I don't know what the number is here, 10 feet forward of the front line. We want to make sure it's 10, not 11, so we don't have a problem when code enforcement comes out and starts measuring and it's a foot over and you got to come back and
Okay.
all that stuff.
you're not sure what that is. Do I gather the pause?
I understand what it is. I don't know what the measurement is right
Adam,
now.
Can you, looking at the drawing, it's really not a site setback issue, but just so that we have in our record what it is that they're asking for the actual dimension of the shed, the barn.
Yeah, standard eaves 1 foot. So on each side.
Right, so then we're looking at 32 feet, 34 total, right? All right, do you have, as far as the specific location, about the distance to the home itself? You know what that is? 'Cause
I don't
what
have the
we're-
exact
where I'm driving at,
distance.
the board prefers that when you're asking for a variance, if it's just located someplace on a survey map, and we grant it, and then you decide that, well, I don't quite like it there, and you put it some other place other than where we thought it was going to be, we're not on the same page. So you have those distances, for example, on how close is it to the road, and how close is it to the house, or just something that we can locate where it is that that structure's going to be.
I don't have the distances on me right now.
When would you like to get the shovel in the ground on this project?
I guess as soon as we can. We were hoping for May or June, but it depends on, I guess, their schedule and weather and stuff like that.
Any utilities in the structure? Electricity?
Just, we're looking for lights inside.
Just electricity, no water?
Correct.
Matt, how comfortable are you with where the location is on the survey map? Or do we need to have them come back with?
I'm okay with saying as proposed. It would be, I would say after this meeting, I'd recommend them come back with real dimensions, but I don't think it's necessary to write it into the,
So the size of this pole barn, they have to go in front of the planning board. So based on that process, the location, the exact location may move. So it'd be hard for you to put
Okay,
a detailed, the variance should be forward of the front line. And then, based on their planning board, their site plan for that, it may get shifted.
we say, can we refer to whatever the.
subject to the
subject to
approval
the
of planning board?
Yeah.
You okay with that, Fred?
Yeah.
Alexis?
That's good with me.
Leo?
Yes.
Anyone from the public want to speak for or against the application?
You could even make those dimensions as built for all I care. It's so big.
Anything else you want to add?
Nope, thank you.
Hold on, we need to do a resolution here.
Okay,
Unless you don't want us to. I think you want us to make the resolution.
that'd be nice.
There we go. Okay. All right, first criteria. An undesirable change would not be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties created by the granting of area variance. The justification being that 7.5 acres, wooded lot, the survey map indicates that the location of the proposed barn is a significant distance from the right-of-way of the road, and the application is going to be subject to the planning board approval. Also, there are septic systems that need alternative measures, so it appears that this is the best location for the barn itself. Would anyone like to add anything to the first criteria?
Nope.
Second, the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. Again, relying on the survey map, significant distance from the roadway, and the marginal distance that is in front of the primary structure, along with the septic system impeding other alternatives, indicate that the applicant cannot achieve construction of this barn by some other feasible method. Would anyone like to add anything to the second criteria? Third, the area variance is not substantial. Again, as indicated with criteria 1 and 2, the distance from the roadway is significant. The distance of the barn forward of the primary structure is not. Would anyone like to add anything to the third criteria? Fourth, the proposed variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. Board has not seen anything in print or heard anything otherwise that would indicate that the location of the barn would have an adverse effect or impact on the physical environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district.
And two neighbors agree with that.
Thank you, Fred, and two neighbors agree. And let's put that in the first criteria. I think that fits best there. if the alleged difficulty is self-created. However, that in and of itself is not necessarily a negative to the granting of an area variance. As a condition, the granting of the variance will be subject to the planning board approval. Anything else we need to add on this? So I would entertain a motion for approval.
I make that motion.
Thank you, Fred. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Alexis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks so much. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And more and more like that.
Okay, next is the Gypsum Mills application, 6249 Murphy Drive and 6261. I think we can do this together. You're Jean, right?
Jen,
Jen, sorry.
it's okay. I get called Jean a ton, so.
Okay. So, last you were here was January 17th.
Correct.
There was a county planning board referral, and we'll get to that in a moment. I have 562 lots. When I look on the map, it seems that there are more. So what I'm just doing is I'm just trying to go through what those minutes had shown, and we can correct it as we go along. We had an interpretation that is based on these 6249 Murphy and 6261. And the interpretation that this board made was that it needs to be 10 feet between fixed structures. There were a number of public concerns. Most of them were opposed. There were 2 in favor. The county planning board believed that, at least in their opinion, was that in order to continue any kind of delay, that there should be some efforts to do measurements to see whether or not variances were required. And they were referring to the plan itself, was that all of those lots needed to have 60 foot of road frontage.
I
so
think
good?
the one thing they said is that on the plan, all the lots have 60 feet of frontage.
Right.
So I think that's the confusion, is that they're looking at the plan, and it says all the lots here have 60 feet. And so as I'm reading their comments, to me, it sounds like it is recommended that the CEO measure the lot in question to determine if a variance is required, as the approved site plan indicates all lots have 60 foot of frontage. So I guess the way I read that is the paperwork says it should be 60 feet. You're saying it's 53, 54, and I think the county's saying, ooh, there's some weird math going on here, because in all of our documentation, it says all these lots are 60 feet wide, so why is this one and another one, 53, 54?
Right, so they should be 60 feet. And what troubles me is the county planning board is expecting or asking our code enforcement officers to go out there and measure some 600 spaces. I don't want to call them lots, because we went down a rabbit hole, and they're not formal lots. They're divisions where utilities are and where homes go, and the way that the site plan reads is that there's numbers, and each of the homes are supposed to go on those particular pieces of property. So to have our code enforcement officer go out there and, I'm trying to find the highest number here. If you're telling me, well, correct me if I'm wrong, are there 562 spaces?
There are 562, and they are called lots, but
Okay.
yes.
So you can call them lots, and we'll call them lots for now. What I don't want to get into the confusion of is when there are formal lots, that there are side lines that can be measured. The code, I think, is clear, and I think the board was clear that it's in lieu of a side lot line. So, to get to my point is, I don't think it's fair for our code enforcement officer to go out there and measure all of those lots to see, is it 60 feet, is it 61, is it 54? How many of those are non-compliant? I think we have a bigger issue on how it is that those homes were put there on each of those lots in the first place.
So this whole thing started because Rick, who is not here, he was our building inspector. He was working with Cooks, and we had no problem placing the homes. Now, the lot, like I said, the original drawings that were given out are not about the entire space that was available. That is the space that we actually asked them to use just for the home.
Okay, I'm going to
So
stop
we
you there
already-
for- I'll give you a chance to speak, but it sounds like you're trying to push Rick in front of the bus.
No, I'm
Because
not.
The way that I understand the code is that it's the property owner, property manager's responsibility for telling the builder, this is where this home goes on that lot, not the code enforcement officer. Is that right?
I'm not trying to throw anybody on the
Okay,
bus. I'm just
okay.
trying to talk about what happened.
Okay, go ahead.
So he came to me after this whole thing happened, and I was told, I can't prove this because haven't seen the paperwork. So we had no problem with Emily Madison's home on 6261. There's no problem with her home. There's no problem with the placement. It's perfectly set. It's just right there, and there's no issue with it. Now, I understand that it says 53 feet on her form, but that's just where we would like the home to be placed. That's all that is. It's not saying there's only 53 feet. In fact, for Emily Madison's home, there's a ton more space than 53 feet where it is. I can show you where the homes are placed on the side lots. I have pictures of those, plots for those, plot plans for those, and it shows that they are placed off of their lot line that you guys won't call lot lines, like every other home in the property. When they were told what the lot lines were, they made sure they left at least the 5 feet, most are 7 feet away from the lot line.
It's not that what we guys want.
I'm not saying what you guys want, it's just what we call lot lines, no one else has ever disputed. No mobile manufactured home community and installer, nobody has said, oh, these aren't lines. We've
The law
always
says
used
they're not
them.
lines.
I'm not talking about, I understand that they're not individual lines because the parcel numbers are all the same. I understand that. But in our community, we try to treat everyone fairly and by the same rules. So if we're going to say, this is your spot, here's where you have to take care of, you have to mow it, you have to take care of it, this tree that's on this, you have to take care of it. It's your space, if you'd rather call it a space than a lot, that's where we go by. And there are, here, your lot starts here, and you're on the right side, and you're, depending on which way you're looking, and the other one's on the other side. That's where your space is. So there are defined lines within our parks so people understand where their lines are and what they have to take care of in that individual space. So with that, so that we're treating everyone fair and knowing their space, we make sure that they come those few feet in to make sure everyone has their own privacy and their own line, and no one's invading anyone else's yard. No one's saying, oh, mine is right here. No, mine is right here. We make sure we define where those lines are. And with that is why we give the drawings in reference to things like the cable box and the electric boxes to where their lines are. and how far they should go over to make sure a home is placed in that space, centered, or maybe a little bit one way or a little bit the other way, to ensure that everyone does have their own home space. Whether it's they own the land or they're renting the land, that everybody still wants their own space if they're gonna put their own home on that space.
The drawing that you're referring to, can you show that to me again?
Yes. Which one did you start with? Does it matter? I have both, but I can,
You're showing, you held up an individual,
yep, hang on one second, I have them both,
that's what I want to refer to.
Yep,
It's a drawing. Would you agree with me, there's no stamp on it? There's no approved sign, much like this original site plan that has an engineer's signature, stamp, approved. That's an official document.
I was told you
Yeah,
guys
I
don't
don't-
accept
which-
that document.
Pardon me?
I was told you guys don't accept that document.
Who told you that?
Amber.
As far as accepting it for what?
That, because that is the form that Canandaigua wanted, the plot plan, and I have it on the big sheets, and she just asked me if I could take the corner of where these two were. And when she said, asked me to send it to Amber as well, so that you guys knew what I was submitting at Canandaigua. And Amber sent back to me via an email that you guys don't accept that document because it's a plot
What
plan.
I said, that is the original site plan. We couldn't prove that you were abiding to it, and we needed a survey of the lot itself.
Right, but I'm just saying that I didn't bring that, anything like
Okay,
that because of
so-
that.
This site plan that has a stamp on it, an engineer stamp with a signature, it's been filed. This document is a document that this board can use to stop the target from moving. What's up on the screen is a moving target. To be more specific is if you just say, we just want to keep everybody happy. The people that are here in the neighborhood, they don't know as far as, well, gee, we just want to make sure we have some space. And it invites the owner or the property manager to put their thumb up and say, yeah, that can go, that the house can go right there, without any need to look at measurements or surveying, or to hire a surveyor to go out and say, this is where this house should go, because it is 60, 120, whatever the particular lot that particular home goes on, instead of finding out that some of these homes have a 60-foot road frontage, some have 64, and it sounds like some have less than 60. But I think you were talking about, or you let us know beforehand in January, that there are a number of lots that have less than 60 foot of road frontage.
Yes, there are a few that have 58 or 59.
Code says
They've been
that-
there.
and
So,
the code says that you need variances for those parcels. Where they are, we don't know yet. All that we have right now is our code enforcement officer has told us that this would be 6261, or lot 641. And 6249, or lot 647, require a variance because 6249 is only 54 feet of road frontage, and 6261 is 53 feet of road frontage. Now, do you dispute that, or
yes, that's what I had said last time, is there is much more road frontage. It's not about how much space, there's more space that is there between the homes. If you measure between the two homes, there's much more than 60 feet. The only reason why we have the plans is because that is where we would like, according to this space, that's the space we would like the house to use.
you don't
Because
have,
we
you
are-
don't have a surveyor to back up or prove that you don't need a variance for those two properties?
I wasn't told I needed anything. I was told by Rick to come in here, show you guys these things, and you'd approve it in a minute. And that was because this was no big deal. So I
It
didn't
is-
prepare
it's
for
for the-
anything because of
It's
that.
for the applicant to prove that they would like a variance to the board, that the whole process of a code enforcement officer would go out to a particular property, not just yours in specific, but would go out and they may see whether a building permit or there's some issue, and the code enforcement officer says, wait a minute, you can't put that shed that close to the lot line. Or you can't put a mobile home on this parcel because the code requires 60 feet. So the code says, code enforcement officer to the property owner, you need a variance. If you think otherwise, and you say, no, code enforcement officer's wrong on this one, it's not that all the neighbors are trying to hold hands. You get a survey to say, no, we are on, just like what this site plan says. We don't need a variance. There is 60 feet, and here's the survey map to show otherwise. That's not here. So why should we say, or why should this board say that you need a variance or the code enforcement officer is wrong? How are we to know?
I was never told I needed to get a survey, anybody to come out and do any surveys. So here I am, I'm doing what I'm told. I was told to come here by Rick. I was said, just present these paperwork, this is fine, that'll just get approved so we can place the homes there.
Rick said it was going to get approved.
Yes, that's why I'm here. He said, this is simple, sorry. He told me he was only writing me up because he had to write up cooks and they brought this up. And so just come in here and you guys would do a fast approval on this and I'd have no problem. Then, and I'm not blaming her, Amber tells me, no, I have to go to a planning meeting, that I shouldn't even come to this meeting. I go to the Canandaigua planning meeting because I had to go to a planning meeting first before I would come see you guys. So that's what she told me. She said, no, sorry, you should have gone to a planning meeting first. So I came here last time anyway. You guys said, nope, go to the planning meeting, which is what she said anyway. But I was already planned to be here. I go to the planning meeting in Canandaigua, and they ask me 10 to 12 times, why are you even here? This makes no sense.
About the county?
And, yeah, the
planning.
county planning meeting you sent me to, they said, why are you even here? This makes no sense. And I said, I don't know. I was told I had to come to this meeting. I don't really understand it. They asked for the whole story, so I had to stand and tell them the whole story from the beginning to the end. And they said, this makes no sense. If this whole thing came up because of the placement of a home, why are you having to figure these things out? So I said, I have no idea. We've never come into this problem before. We give somebody the usable space for a home. They put it properly, like they did with Madison's home. Hers is placed just fine. I have no issues with that home where it is, and she should just, her home should be released. Cooks needs to put in the right foundation, and this lady should be able to be moved in. She's been waiting for forever for a home that's placed perfectly on the home, on the space that they had to use.
You know if there's 10 feet to either side of those homes?
Yes, 100%.
I thought last meeting we confirmed that the.
Can they put a
Yes.
garage? If they install a garage, is there going to be 10 feet between, so we're speaking to 6261.
6261, that is
So
correct.
if that homeowner puts a garage in, is there going to be 10 feet between 6259 and 6263?
Hang on one second. The driveway's on one side, so if her driveway is on, if you're looking from the road, her house is on the right-hand side. If you're like looking from the road towards the house, her house is on the right and her driveway's on the left, and she would be able to put a garage behind her driveway if she would want to and still have the space.
Did you
And there
say,
are 18 feet right now between, wait, hang on, that's the wrong side. There are 30 feet, it's 30 feet and 6 inches between the house, if you're looking from the road to the houses. If you're looking at the house to her left of her home, there's 30 feet and 6 inches. 62, we're on 641, right? Show my drawing, yeah, so on 641. So the house on her right, on her left, if you're looking from the road, there's 30 feet and 6 inches between the home and her home. So if there is, like, obviously that's not including the space for the garage, I'm just talking about her home. If there was a garage put in there, she would still have enough space. On the other side of the home, there's 18 feet from the home to hers.
Oh, let's, for the time being, it's 6261.
6261.
And if we're looking at to the north, so this would be going towards Roberts. You agree with that? If you look at the home to the left, that's facing north towards Roberts. Roberts Road.
Oh, to the back of the, okay, yes.
All right, just so we got our compass
That's
correct.
fine, I'm sorry, yes.
So if their garage was there, what is
Yep.
the space, the distance between 6261 and 6259?
30 feet, 6 inches.
Just want to be abundantly clear. If there was a garage there, you took a tape measure from where the garage would be to 6259, 30 feet. 30
No.
feet, 6 inches.
No, 30 feet between that home and her home. So if you put a garage there, you'd have to take off the 26 feet. So there would still be, well, no, 20, what is it, for garage? I mean, and I don't know a standard garage, so 20 feet? I don't know what a standard garage is because I don't install them, so.
All right, then what about going south,
Between her home and the
60, 62, 63? What's the
there's
distance?
18 feet.
Between the two homes.
Yes, sir. The total length is 75 feet and 75 and a half feet between one home to the other. With hers being in the middle, obviously.
All right. Same analysis for 6249. So if you look at 6249 and you look to the north with the garage, what's the distance between 6249 and 6247?
33 feet.
With a garage.
No, that's just between the two homes. Between that home and the side of the other home, the side of the home that is there now, there's 33 feet.
And what about between 6249 and 6251?
About 10 feet. Well, only the home, that's not including the porch that's being added.
All right, I'm going to come back with some other questions, but I think I'm really troubled with the number of homes that are on parcels that are not in compliance with your site plan. I don't mean your site plan, but the owner, whoever initially put this together, submitted it, they're all supposed to be 60 feet. Not kind of, 60 feet. It's one thing to be off by a couple of inches. But in this case, and other cases we've had, 6 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, it may not a big difference, but in a park like this, a few feet make a huge difference. Driven up and down that, I spent a lot of time, multiple times, trying to figure out, they really should be very symmetrical, very evenly spaced out, and they're not. There's some big spaces on why does one homeowner have a pretty good sized backyard and others, they're pretty tight together. What I mean by backyard, if it's a cross street. So if the one home, for example, is facing Roberts, their backyard
Oh, okay, backyards, okay.
then goes to the first house on Murphy Drive. And it seems the house on Murphy Drive should be tighter to the first house on Roberts. So potentially, what in my mind is happening here, you have a number of unbuildable lots, that the lot is too small to put the home that should be there or could be there to begin with. Just me, we'll hear from the rest of the board. Matt, your thoughts, comments, questions?
Yeah, so this is probably the most confusing thing I've seen in my 15 years. My apologies, but we've got a site plan that shows every lot is 60 feet. So what do you, if we went out, or if we had someone go out and survey and stake the corner of each of these lots, what do you think is going on? Is it just the margin of error in the, where the homes are, or where they're being measured as they're going in over time, and now that there's only a couple left, they're tight lots?
Yeah, we,
There's no, I mean, it's not like there were supposed to be, what's the total number of lots?
562.
And there's 562, right? You didn't fit 570 or anything like that, and I'm right, there's 562, and there's a margin of-
562, and some of them can't have a home, so some of them are wide open, because they're in what's considered the flood zone.
Okay,
So we don't have 562 homes on our property.
okay. I think we came to the conclusion last time that it was the the whole 5 feet between, really 10 feet between two structures, right? 5 feet on one side, 5 feet on the other, and that these were both compliant to that. I'm just trying to get, I think we're just gonna, I think the understanding is just that it's a 54-foot wide lot, but when you first started, what I didn't understand was, you said, no, it's not a 54-foot wide lot, it's a 60-foot wide lot. And that's because you put the drawing up there that showed 54, is what's got everybody confused, because when you, I'm trying to figure out, is it your drawing that's wrong, or in that you're adhered to the site plan that says it's 60? Or again, do we have a couple lots here that are just skewed because of how things have been put in over time?
Yeah, so I did a new drawing, I was just gonna give it to everyone, and it has attached to it, it has the plot plans for the homes beside it, to show that we always place a home that has the few feet towards what their lot line is. The two on the outside of both of them are 60 feet. This one, the 54 feet that we're talking about, for the 54 feet for lot 647, which is 6249 Murphy. We said 54 feet of usable space, that's where we would like the home placed, but there are 5 feet to one side and 7.3 feet to the other side. So there are more than 60 feet of available space to use. This is just the 54 feet we would like them to use. So that's not saying that there's less than 60 feet of frontage. There is more. This is just where the area we would like them to use for the home, to ensure that it is nothing is being placed on either lot beside of it. So, because they've already established their homes there, and we've already told them where their line is on their property to take care of. So we just provide this to make sure the home is placed in the correct space. So there are more than 60 feet available for both homes. This one, like I said, is 54 feet plus 7.3 and 5, so that
What's
equals.
the 7.3 and 5? That's to
so
the other home.
It's just the space that they, there's the two homes, and they have the side yards.
Right.
So we.
But you can't count the side yard twice. It seems like you're,
No,
when you say it's not 54 and it's really, I've got an extra 7 here, an extra 7 there, you're taking it away from the two lateral.
no, there's more than enough space. I'm just saying that there are 5, so.
I've got a ton of pictures here, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
rulers people got out and
Oh, yeah.
measured things.
Oh, yeah.
And it just, the math just isn't, it's not working for me. I can't figure it out. It looks like it is coming up short. You're meeting the 5 foot,
Yep.
but you're here trying to say it's not really 54, it's whatever we want it to be. But if you're gonna rob Peter to pay Paul, if you're gonna take the other, if it's not 54 and you're making it wider, then you're taking that space away from the adjacent parcels.
But there are no parcels, like you say. So. Yes, there are.
No, there are lots. There's lots on this diagram, there's lots that the county refers to, and there's lots that our code refers to. And I get it. What Mike is saying is that in lieu of side lot lines, the code talks to having to have a minimum of 60 feet and a minimum of 7,200 square feet per lot, and that you have to have 60 feet, each lot has to have 60 feet of frontage. This drawing here, which is the approved site map has every single lot with 60 foot of frontage and then varying depth to give them 7,200 or more to be in compliance. And it just, it's obvious that this wasn't adhered to, is, strictly, and maybe if it was staked out better, I don't know. But at the end of the day, when you say it's 60 feet wide, you can't show that it's 60 feet wide, and then the two adjacent houses are also 60 feet wide, because you can only count it twice, or once.
Right, so if you look at this particular one, 647, which is 6249 Murphy Drive, if you're looking from the road, and if you want to, we were doing directions before to the south, the 5 feet on that side is the other person's lot. But the 7.3 feet on the other side is actually part of this lot, which would make this 61.3 feet.
So let me just jump in real quick. Let's say our code enforcement officer goes out there, uses the site plan, finds a monument, and starts to measure on one particular side. And I'm not a gambler, but I'd be willing to bet that at some point in time, there's going to be some, this one isn't right, this one isn't right, and keep going down, but the homes are already there. Asking for multiple variances, in theory, hypothetically, certainly this board could say, move the house, move the house, move the house, move the house. How expensive is it going to be to move a number of houses instead of trying to get as many as you can right before the houses are affixed in the first place?
I can't tell you that.
A lot of money.
Yeah, I just was saying, I can't answer that, so I don't know.
So wouldn't you want to get it right now? 'Cause having these homes where you have the need for two variances, at least it has the appearance of, what are you holding the dust for?
Because I just moved it.
It just moved. It's on wheels.
It just rolled
Oh, I
up a little
thought
bit.
you were like in shock of what I
I
just said.
was in shock, yes. Sorry.
You have other available lots that you can move those homes that would be in compliance without the need of trying to get a variance for these two lots and potentially more variances for one parcel. And I mean by one parcel, the whole gypsum mills. If there's going to be a need for more than 10, more than 20, more than 30 variances, that means there's something seriously wrong with where the homes were placed in the first place. So just getting one or two variances for today, if they were to be granted, I can see it coming. I think you can see it coming. There's more coming.
We have other lots available. As soon as Cook's brought in the home for 6249, it was placed where it was, I immediately said, please don't place it here. It's not in the right space. It's, if you got to move it over. They told me, no, they're not moving the home. I've asked them several times. They won't move the home. So,
Who's in charge?
well, I tell them I don't want it there, but they don't care what I say.
When they,
And that's
They
why
did-
that's why I went to Rick and I talked to him and he says, no, I'm not allowing them to place the home there.
Who is the cook?
who is Cook to you?
Yeah.
A company.
Your
What do
boss,
they
your,
do?
Oh, no. No, they have nothing to do with me or my
They're the
company.
builder.
They're just a mobile home installer for the resident.
okay? So you answer to whom?
My boss, Horizon.
Going to your boss and saying, they're not listening to me. I don't want it there. We can't have it there. Tell them to move it.
Yeah, so that's why I went to Rick and Rick told me, yep, I'm already writing them up, so I just need you to take these in to get this approved. That's what I was told, and that's the only reason I'm here.
You're the owner, or you or your company is the owner of the property. It's not the tenant's responsibility to tell the builder. They have no say in it. You do.
Right, and that's why I said, and you guys actually said in the last meeting that we could amicably figure something out. They don't. I've already asked them if they would just move the home. They said they won't move the home and they're not going to. So that's why we had to come to this point right here.
To put the burden on these future homeowners for 62, 61, and 6049, is misplaced. It's the owner of the property that should be taking the reins and saying, we're going to move these two homes on parcels where they have 60 foot or more, and get them placed, get them in homes.
Right, but I bet these homes aren't ones that I asked to be moved in. They're not ones that we have purchased, they're not ones that we are selling. They're not homes that have anything to do with our company. This is simply a home that was purchased by the two people on these two homes. They went to the company, they designed their home, and they're bringing their home in. I was told by the building inspector that the original placement of the home on 6249 and the design of the home that was submitted in the first time they submitted it, A, it's not the same home, and B, it's not in the same placement.
As the owner of the property, the owner has say on where it goes, because I hope you're not expecting to believe that the cook just comes in, middle of the night, plops down the house without you knowing it, and leaves.
No, so what happened?
You have to say, and it's like, I don't want that home there, you have no
Right.
right to put it there, put it over there.
I did say that. I said that before they even set this home, when they because the plan that I saw and the building inspector saw, the piers for this home were 10 feet over. So it's in the middle of the lot. Okay. That's not where they are. That wasn't where they were placed in the end. They were placed
Hypothetical.
completely different. And when the home was pulled into the lot, everybody that you see here and other people that live right there where that home is placed, way too close to Miss Lechner's home, called me, and I was down there the second they pulled it into my park, and I said, you can't set the home here. It's too
What are you gonna
close
do
to
if
this
these
person.
variances aren't granted?
Get a lawyer. Go to court, have the house moved, because Cooks won't move it. If, I have no problem with the home, and I don't want to Sherry Yackel's been waiting way too long for her home. Emily Madison has been waiting way too long for her home. Now, Emily Madison's home is placed just fine. Nobody has anything against Emily Madison's home. But here she is still waiting. Yackel, Miss Yackel, she's been waiting for her home for a very long time. Before they set the home, I asked them to move it. They said, no, we're leaving it right here. We don't care what you say. I call Rick. They're setting their home. And it finally had to come to this.
I'm sorry, I cut Matt off.
No, that's okay. I find myself even more confused prior to your discussion with Mike, in that you started, before Mike started interrogating, going down this path, I say that jokingly, of course, going down this path of, it's compliant, it's 60 feet.
It is. There are 60 feet of usable space. There are 60 feet.
For everybody,
Yeah,
not overlapping space.
not overlapping space. Like I
Makes
said,
no
on the one that is 54 was just the space where we would like them to put their home. There are 7.3 feet. I know I went and measured it. I mean, I'm not a builder
If
and
I take
inspector,
that
but
7.4 or 3 feet
7.3
away from that lot, is that lot still a 60-foot lot?
yes. It's just it just happens to be where the homes are placed.
And it's just, and then you're saying it's just that the home is too big, or is larger than,
No, this home, I mean, it's gonna depend on how it's placed and what she's gonna put with it. If she wants to put it on this 54-foot lot,
you just told me it was a 60-foot lot.
Well,
So
it
this
is-
where,
okay.
this is where I'm losing my mind here.
Well-
You keep referring to 54, I don't even think you'd be in here if you could have showed them 60 feet. When it
Well,
was out there.
I never would have sent these in if I wasn't told, told me I had to send these in. He says, just send these in, they're gonna approve it, this doesn't make any difference. So I didn't go any further to try to do anything else other than submit the drawings he told me to submit.
Because the only variance that's required is for less than 60 feet. But what you're saying is you've got 60.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But you can't prove it, because
No.
everything you show has 54 on it. And so, again, maybe that comes down to getting it professionally surveyed or something. But you keep showing 54, and that's the only reason why you're here. The house may be too big, it may be set wrong, it's still within compliance with the code. other than the lot size. And so that's where I am. I don't want to have the homeowner wait a second longer for the house. But I also don't want you to have, free reign to kind of do this again and again and again. I'm also curious, again, I don't want to hold up the homeowner as to how many other situations have been created like this. But again, if you're telling me that there's 60 feet, then you got to prove it to the code enforcement officer, because right now, nobody's buying it. And whenever you say 60 feet, the entire public behind you is shaking their head. And so it's really hard for me to believe. I know the math doesn't work, and the residents are also saying the same thing. They're the ones out there measuring it. I mean, I got a ton of pictures of people measuring things. So
Yeah, I know that everyone's issue is the placement of the one home. I know that's what it
And
is.
that's your issue with the community, but your issue with the town is literally only the lot width. If it's 60 feet, she doesn't need to be here. And so, but if you're telling us it's 60,
Can I ask a question?
absolutely, if you can,
Yeah. So referring to your picture here that's titled Home Lot Layout.
Yes,
So I understand what you're saying. 54 inches is the width of the actual,
feet.
of the mobile home?
No.
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 But it's because you mentioned the 54 feet and the 77.3 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So 54 feet is the center of that parcel where you want that home placed. That's what I understand. You're using that 54, you're not taking the 60, because you want to let them know you want 54 is so it can be centered on that parcel.
Correct.
Okay. So that's the 54 you have. Then you mentioned before, there's an additional 7.3 feet on one side?
The north side.
The north side, okay. And then the 5 feet you mentioned on the other side, that belongs to the adjacent parcel, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So 54 and that 7.3 feet comes to 61.3?
Yes.
That,
I didn't know if you were asking me or
correct?
making a
Okay.
statement, so.
I just want to make sure, because I usually do it with a calculator, so I just wanted to make sure. But then my question is, okay, so you have that 61.3 feet width of of lot 647.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but why then do you have 7.3 feet on one side? Why isn't that, where you have that 54, you're telling the person who's going to place their mobile home there, why isn't that centered, to make sure there's enough space on each side?
So the reason why we start the 54 feet where it is right now is because that takes care of the 5 feet away from the house to the south. So we make sure there's the 5 feet there because that house is 5 feet away from their property line. So we start it right there. Now we take it out the 54 feet so they can use all of that and still be that 7 feet away from the line on the other side. So the 54 feet is they could start right from that line on to the south. They could go 5 feet in and start building. But that's 5 feet in for every structure, 5 feet from that line. This house itself, they decided to place the actual house right there, 5 feet, and now they're wanting to add a porch to that side of the house.
So they place that house, the actual house, on like the parcel line of the adjacent properties, 5 feet space?
No, there's
No.
5 feet to the, no, it's okay, there's
No.
5 feet to the line, and then the house is 5 feet into that line. So there's 10 feet in between the two
The
homes.
two, okay.
But now they want to add a deck and stairs to the home, which is going to be on that property line.
Right, so that doesn't give them, so, because there's only 10 feet between the two homes, counting both the 5 feet on each side. So, and that was going to be my next question. So their, I guess, front door, and with the deck is going to be on that 5 feet side, not the 7.3 side.
They have a door on both sides.
On both sides.
So the door on the side that goes towards the south side of the home, towards where there's only 5 feet, is a sliding glass door on that side. There is another door on the north side, which will be the side of the driveway, which is just a regular entry door.
Right, okay. Right. So on the north side, that would be considered like the front door, and then where the sliding door is, and I'm assuming because it's a sliding door, it's like a double door
Yes, ma'am.
when I had it. So that's like, that would, for all intents and purposes, that would be like your
Back door.
backyard or side door. Yeah. And so then, so building a deck, how can you even build a deck with 5 feet? I mean, that's too small.
That is one of our concerns, is because they're trying to say they're only gonna build steps towards the front, and it is, if you draw a diagonal line to the garage, it's 10, the corner of the porch will be 10 feet from the garage. But as far out as the deck is gonna go, it's actually gonna go on the line between the two parcels. So the actual porch would not be 5 feet from the line.
But because the town doesn't enforce a side setback, it's still compliant, because it's more than 10 feet from corner of the structure to the corner of the structure. Go ahead.
I just have a quick question. I'm sorry. I was just noticing something here. How wide did you say the home is on 60, wait, where are we? Lot 647, 6249.
6249, okay. What was your question, I'm sorry?
What's the width of the home that was placed?
The width of that home, hang on, I have to go back and look, hang on. 28.
So your sheet there says home size 22 by 55 max.
Yeah, I didn't draw those, and I never would have written it that way. I just submitted the paperwork I was told to. So I didn't realize this was going to be such a thing. I was just told this was a quick thing to come in, and I should just submit what I had. So I drew up completely new papers, so that it doesn't say those things there. So that is what someone suggested, that they should do a 22 by 55 foot home. That was a suggestion. I'm not saying that's the only house that would fit there. So that's something that somebody else put on there that doesn't even work here anymore, so.
I got you. I guess I'm just confused because if all the lots, not lots, whatever you want to call them, are 60 feet,
Yeah,
then the home, the max, then every lot, you would think, would only allow a 22-foot max. Why have a variant?
I don't know why
Maximum
that's
size.
not
You can have,
there.
as long as it's 10 feet away from the next,
Yeah,
it would fit.
Right, that's why I'm just curious why,
would
at
fit if
some
it were
point in
larger.
time, somebody decided that this is the.
yeah, and I can't
max
tell you
size.
who wrote that, so I don't know. So I redid the whole thing, because I only submitted those because I was told I should. None of that's accurate,
So
so,
lot 647,
yes.
how wide of the space that they have, how wide are they gonna mow? How wide is their responsibility to mow? Is it 54 feet, or do they have 61.3 feet?
They'll
They're
be-
gonna mow.
Well, honestly, I think that, as far as mowing in reality, it's gonna be closer to the 54, probably 56 feet, because the neighbor on the north side already mows that and is used to mowing it. But,
Forget the fact that the neighbor's nicer on one or the other. If everyone mowed exactly where they were supposed to mow, would 647 mow 60 feet wide Or it's
If-
54?
Yes, if everybody said you have to mow 60 feet, everyone would mow 60 feet. Our community's just not like that.
No,
So,
I get
yes.
that, I totally get that.
Yep.
But I'm trying to, you've been, like, everyone's been dragged here over this 54 number, and it just seems to me like if it's, somehow you got to prove to us that it's really 60 after 2 meetings and a meeting with the county, that they think it's 54. And the county literally said, go back and measure it all, because the map says it's 60. That's, and that's where I'm at. I mean, if you went out there, you'd be able to show him a 60-foot wide lot, number 647. Forgetting, I totally get it. You and the community have a problem with where the house is set. But I think where the house is set, as we determined last time, is still within code, but not desirable by the community. We're here to really talk about this 54 versus 60, and you're telling us now it's 60. So if you bring him out there and you prove him that it's really 60 on all of these, then you could start, I think, immediately after. But, and so I don't even, I wouldn't even vote on it, in my opinion, I wouldn't even vote on a variance tonight.
I think the county said the lots in question to measure, not all of them.
Not all of them, but it just said in general, all the lots on the map are 60. So they basically said, go back and measure it, because something doesn't add up here. It should all be 60. And if earlier, or last time, we were talking about margins of error, and maybe this lot is a little smaller because someone took a foot here or two, you can't say that at the same time you say it's 60. So if you can prove to him it's 60,
There's no
it's-
question to
there's
answer
no-
if it's 60.
There's no variance to be had.
Yeah.
Hold on. I appreciate your patience.
He's about ready to blow a fuse over there.
No, don't, please don't, please don't.
No, I'm
Please
all
don't,
set.
please
I'm
don't. Hold on, we're not quite, Alexis, do you have questions or comments?
So what's changed between the January meeting and this meeting?
Nothing.
Okay, but, so we were here for hours at the January meeting, so did you not think that that was a serious meeting? You
I
didn't
was told
change
at the,
anything?
I was told at the end of that meeting that everybody was gonna look into something, that I might not even have to go to the planning meeting, that this might not even be anything that we have to even consider. And then I went to the planning meeting anyway. They don't even understand why I'm there, since we're a manufactured home community, and this shouldn't matter. And now I'm back here, and everybody's saying it is a big deal. So I don't know who I'm supposed to listen to when I get told a bunch of different things. So if somebody wants me to go get somebody, measure out the lot, and then come back and file for another variance, I will if I have to, and if I don't, I don't. But
We're here so long
on, let
because
her-
you insisted that it was 54 feet. We talked for
It's-
2 or 3 hours on it, and if you were sitting on the fact that it was really 60 feet wide, the meeting would have been over in the first 30 minutes.
I did say something about that when I was
I'd
here.
love to see it in the minutes, because I,
Yeah, because I said it was 54 feet of usable space. Though that was all that was. It's just what we supply to people to tell them where we would like them to place the home.
54 feet of usable space.
That's
Sounds
where we would
I'm
like them
mowing
to use.
54 feet, a 54-foot wide parcel. But you say, no, it's 60.
Matt, just let Alexis finish.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's what you submitted the last one, but you said at the last meeting and just now that it's not 22 feet wide, the home, that it's 26? 28?
20, what was it? Oh, okay, but 26, yeah.
You said you changed it?
I just redrew it so that everyone
That
would.
was, because I have this and it still says 22 feet. Did you give this to us before?
No, I brought them and I was going to hand them out, and everyone started talking, so.
Why didn't you send this before?
Bigger deal. I wasn't told it was.
Okay. And Horizons is the company that owns the park, correct?
Correct,
And they're a large national corporation.
correct.
And have you notified anyone higher up in Horizons about the issue, about the variances?
Yes,
But they've only sent you to represent them.
correct.
Have they told you why they've only sent you?
Because I've communicated with them what I've been told, and no one told me that this was a huge deal.
Okay. And then for the lot layouts, you drew these yourself, correct?
Not those, but the ones I just handed you.
So who drew this?
I have no idea. Someone prior to me.
And then this, did you draw this yourself?
No,
Someone else drew this?
Right.
Prior to you working for Horizons?
correct.
And is there a reason you didn't get a survey done? Can Horizons not afford a survey to be done?
Because basically, when a mobile home or manufactured home installer brings in the home, they normally look at the home. They will do whatever they do to place the home. Like if you'll see on the second and third pages for the ones that are posted next to them, you know, the installers did this
Okay.
and brought them to us.
When people ask for sheds, fences, you know, et cetera, you need more than, I would call this scribbles. I mean, when I needed my fence permit, I needed more than drawings with pencil.
Right, so when anybody wants a shed or anyone wants a garage.
I'm not talking
we're-
about sheds for you.
No.
I'm talking about when the town or, you know, village, et cetera, asks for, you know, you want a permit for your shed in your backyard. When somebody wants to put in a barn, they get a survey, they get an engineering report, they have plans. They're done official, they have a seal on them. They have to expend money as a homeowner to get that done. They don't bring us what looks like a kindergartner did it.
That's what we submit from Gypsum Mills. Anything that we submit, they have to draw
This is what a national company submits to a town when they want to get a variance done for a home. Not a shed, not a fence, a home. This is how serious they take it?
that is what we hand out to, that is what we hand out to the manufacturer installer to tell them the usable space. We've never had this issue before. Like I've said, every other one has gone and they've done the plot plans and they have submitted them to us for approval. We didn't get one for these lots.
Quite frankly, it seems like Horizons wants to cheap out. They want to get this through, you know, us, our little small town, as quickly as possible and have no problems here because they've continued to send you. You have changed nothing from January to now, and you're not taking this seriously.
No one told me it was this
You
serious.
place, the home is there. People come to us before, you know, if they need a variance, they're supposed to come before they place anything. Does it happen? Yes. Have they placed sheds? Yes. When they shouldn't have? Have they placed hot tubs? Have they placed fences, etc.? All before, you know, before they got a variance, and then they come to us and say, I'm sorry, I placed XYZ incorrectly? Yes, it happens. Should it happen with a home? No. It's a lot more serious than a fence or a hot tub. So it seems like, quite frankly, Horizons is trying to cheap it out and not take it seriously and get it through the ZBA as quickly as possible. But you're not taking this seriously. Nothing has changed from January to now. We don't typically have 3-4 hour meetings for something that, you know, isn't serious. So if you didn't get that impression at the last meeting, I'm not sure why.
I didn't get that impression at the last meeting because at the end, you guys said I didn't even know
I
if I
didn't say
needed.
that.
I
All
didn't
right,
say
let's,
you
let's
personally.
stop, just, I'll give you a
So,
chance.
I'm-
What I'm concerned about is, there's been many times you said, I didn't know, they told me, I always don't, who submitted the application in the first place? Was you, right?
Yeah,
And
Rick told me to
you
submit
signed
it.
your name to it,
Right, I did it.
indicating that everything in the packet was true, to the best of your knowledge. And to Alexa's point, now all of a sudden, we have another moving target. We thought it was 54 and 53 feet. Now it's mysteriously 60 feet. I honestly, I don't know what to believe anymore.
This isn't Cook's application, it's not the homeowner's application, this is your application.
Right, but I didn't know the severity of this meeting. We've never had to deal with anything like this before, like I've said before. So I did what Rick told me to do, and I filled out the forms the way he told me to, and I handed in the paperwork he told me to hand in. So if somebody would have said to
Did he
me,
hold the pen in your hand? Did he sign? You signed it. Your responsibility. Own it. Own it to your.
I understand, but had I know, if he would have said, I need you to prove this lot size, this is a big deal, then I would have taken the extra steps. But if I'm told by the building inspector, just hand in these forms, it's no big deal, fill out this paperwork, you're gonna go in there, you're gonna be in there for a couple minutes, they're gonna approve this, and you're gonna get to go back, because the real issue is the home placement. That's what I get told, and now you guys are telling me it's a bigger issue.
Did you
If
not
somebody,
give anything in writing that Rick said what you are saying?
I have an email from him telling me
It's no
that,
big deal.
I don't know if it says it's no big deal on that one. He came to meet with me, and he says, I'm gonna go back and I'll send you an email, and I'll hook you up with the lady there that'll help you fill out the paperwork. So he left my office, he went in here, and he sent me an email. Now, I sent him an email right after our meeting in January, and I've gotten no reply since January.
Your email was asking for a legal interpretation.
What was that?
You were asking him for a legal opinion about what our interpretation meant.
Yes, I asked what, like,
We
if,
cannot, nor can this board give you a legal interpretation of what you think is happening. If you want legal advice, you need to go get your attorney. And to Alexa's point, and even Matt said, you have counsel. Use them.
okay, but
It's a
if,
big corporation.
right, and I'm just saying that if you guys in the January meeting would have said, after you leave here, I want you to go and I want you to survey both of these lots, so by the time you get back here, we'll have those done. But in the end of last meeting, you guys said you didn't even know if I'd need to even go to that
But
planning
that's
meeting.
curious, because when I talked to Rick, he told me that you didn't want to pay for the surveyor.
I never said that.
If I could just interrupt, I
How
mean,
strange is that? So you want us to believe everything that you're saying, but when I just indicated the conversation I had with Rick, you say that you don't believe me.
I'm not saying I don't believe you that he said it.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you said then.
No, if he said it to you, then he said it to you. I'm not telling you that you're lying that he said it, but I'm telling you that I never said I wouldn't pay for a survey to him because he never asked me to get anything surveyed.
You are willing to get a surveyor out there and straighten this whole mess out on that side of the street on whether or not those lots are accurate.
Yes, if someone would tell me to, I will. I never said I wouldn't, but no one told me I needed to.
Let's take a little vote here. Do you want a survey, Leah?
Yes.
I'll get back to you, like, just a quick little survey. Do you want a survey if she gets that straightened out? Would that help?
if you want to keep going with this application, but it seems like the easy thing to do is to put these homes onto lots that meet the 60-foot requirement. You don't have lots that meet the 60-foot requirement,
Yes,
so why can't they be moved?
sure, because,
Keep telling us that the lot it's on is 60 feet. So why aren't you telling her it's on a 60-foot lot? That's why it doesn't add up.
well, because if I have
House
to
is
come back.
placed wrong.
Right,
That's not our problem.
that's fine, that's fine
Why
if
aren't
he
you
doesn't want to
saying
be.
it's a 60-foot lot? That's why I'm suspicious.
Well, because they're in paperwork right here, no matter what I say, you're not gonna believe me. So I do have ones that
you're
already say
confident-
60 feet.
But if you're confident that if you get a survey and it's gonna show they're 60 feet, that's your trump card. There's no other reason to be back here. So I can, the fact that you're not saying, no, it's on a 60-foot lot, but it's placed horribly wrong, and I'm working that, I'm gonna get a lawyer involved, and I'm gonna move it, I'm gonna make the community happy. But for some reason, you're not saying that, which is why it's tough for me to believe that it's.
I was just
really
simply
60.
agreeing with her. She says it could be moved to a 60-foot lot, and it can be.
Because she's implying it's not on a 60-foot lot.
Because it doesn't say on these paperwork, so you guys don't believe it's a 60-foot lot. So I'm just
Well-
saying.
I think maybe we're having a little bit of a comprehension issue here, because, you know, you're saying that you didn't think this was a serious issue at the last meeting, but I think a lot of us would agree we maybe inferred from the length of the meeting, the amount of people who attended the meeting, the fact that we're dealing with home variances and not, you know, smaller items like fences and hot tubs, that it was a serious meeting. So I'm sorry, we didn't come out and say specifically, this is a serious matter. We had, you know, members of the community come who were taking this very seriously. We thought maybe you would have inferred this is a very serious matter. So I'm saying it now, this is a very serious matter. It should be treated as such, and you may want to take that back to Horizons.
Yeah,
I don't know if we should ask
Yeah, I'm
her.
just letting you know that if somebody in the January meeting would have said, before you come back here, please have both these lots surveyed, I would have, but nobody told me that.
You thought
They said-
maybe you could have inferred that this is something that should be taken seriously, and you could go above somebody, in Horizons, or gotten maybe them involved. But clearly you didn't understand that or infer that from the meeting, even though we have two people who are looking to be homeowners and move in. You didn't take that seriously. So-
Right, but when somebody says they don't even know if I'll need to come back to this meeting, and I don't even know if I'll need to go to the planning meeting, that kind of leaves me in a thing where this might all be dropped anyway after you guys have a discussion about it. So that doesn't leave me with the feeling that you should go out there and get a survey done. So we kind of have to, figure out, I'm not a stupid person. So I get it's a very serious about these homes, and I get it's very serious for these people back here, that even though you guys approved the placement of that home is not placed correctly. That's why I'm here fighting. If I didn't care about the people that I'm trying to represent, I wouldn't be here. And if I would have been told at the
not here to
January
represent
meeting,
people.
instead, please go have a survey, so when you come back here, we have surveys, I would have done that. But I was told that you might have to go to a planning meeting, but you might not have to, and you might not even have to come back here. So that's a huge difference than go get a survey to make sure you have one before I come back, then maybe you'll have to go to a meeting and maybe you'll have to come back here. And those words were said in the first January meeting. So if you want a survey, I would be glad to go get a survey.
I don't know if we need the
The
survey.
reason why we didn't ask for the survey is because in the 3 hours we talked, there was no question in the 54 feet. You agreed with the paperwork that said it was a 54-foot wide lot. And so there was no debate or discussion over the size of it. I'm only asking for the survey because you said, no, it's actually 60. And so I'm saying, okay, well, prove it to me, because the hours of discussion we had before were 53 and 54. In the paperwork, although it'll be hand-drawn, says 53 and 54, but now you're here saying 60. So I'm just saying prove it. The only way to really prove it is to go get a survey. And if you get the survey and it shows it's 60 feet, there's nothing to vote on.
I'm not buying that you didn't catch it was serious. Again, we spent many hours here, and this is maybe a third of the number of people that were here before. Most of them, with the exception of two, and I think the two that spoke, had a vested interest in those two properties. The rest of the neighborhood was adamantly opposed with even multiple times they would come up. We don't want the variance. This is wrong. We are, and on and on and on. And you even admitted this isn't the only two parcels. There were more parcels out there that it could be in need of a variance. So how is it that you didn't get the gravity of this is a serious problem? Picking up the phone to your boss to say, it was hard, man. This is serious. We need legal counsel. I don't know what to do. I am in the crosshairs. Any of the above. So you telling us, like, I didn't think it was that serious. I'm not buying it. Hopefully you now know this is serious.
Right, and like I said, if you would have told me you wanted surveys, I would have scheduled them.
It's not for the board to prove your case. It's you need to prove to the board why it is that you need the variance, or why it is that the code enforcement is wrong. The burden is on you, or your company, or counsel. So if you call up counsel, say, how am I supposed to prove what it is that they're looking for? I would guess counsel would say, let's get a surveyor out there and let's show them that they don't have their numbers right, that the survey is correct and the houses are placed correctly, there's no need for a variant, or whatever it is that the argument that you want to present. Right now, there are bits and pieces that this board is hearing that we don't know what's true and what's not. One day it's 54 feet, another day it's 60 feet. It's this moving target, and it's not fair to that whole community on what it is. So it's not what we want. If you think that you can live without a survey, if you want this board to vote, I don't think you're going to like the answer. If you think that, gee, I think we need a survey here because it's in the company's best interest to show that maybe the code enforcement officer didn't have the numbers right, then maybe you should call up council and say, I think we need this. It's not for us that what we want. But your job is to figure out what it is we need to see, why, what you need. Fred, do you have any questions or
I
comments?
think it'd be nice to know how big the lot is. But on this sheet, it's 60 feet and then usable 54. So where does 6 feet that's not usable come
So,
from?
like I said, the 54 feet was just where we would like the home to be placed.
But
I
that
never-
doesn't subtract from the lot size.
I'm sorry?
That doesn't subtract from the lot size, though, by moving the home.
What do you mean moving a home?
Where does 60 become 54, where the word usable? That
That's
must
just,
mean
the
something.
right, because that's just the usable space that we would like them to use to place the mobile home in. That's
I have
just
a
what we're,
question.
it's,
So again, looking at your form, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it says lot dimensions, 54 by 135, and then underneath it says 54 by 115 usable.
Right.
Not 60 by 135, and then 54 by 115 usable. It says 54 is the lot, both the lot
Right,
width
and
and the
that-
usable width.
that's why I redid the forms to
This
hand out.
document
only gave
is
us
the
one
reason
copy.
why code enforcement
No, I handed out 4.
is under the impression that the lot is not the right width, which is why we're here. Okay? Yeah, I mean, I could have rewrote one too. You know, I'm just saying, this document is what prompted this whole thing. Okay? This, which,
That's not what I was told, but okay.
okay.
I think we've ground to a halt here without knowing
Yeah.
what size the lot is.
It's got to be 60.
I don't remember it being 60 last time.
The public has been waiting for a while, so we'll probably circle back with you momentarily. When I ask, is there anyone want to speak for or against the application? If you've already said it in the last meeting, just say, same thing as I said last time. If it's something new, we'd love to hear it. So would anyone like to speak for or against the application? Come on up. Thanks so much for your patience.
At last.
Hunts to Brine, 65, or 6295 Kim's Drive. I sent a letter for this hearing, and I commented last time I'm opposed to it. Now, one of the things, talking about lot sizes perhaps being different, what isn't in those maps is the easements for the sewers, and you get easements running through 20, 30 feet wide, and then they spread the houses out. Now, on 6249, there's an easement for about half of that backyard that's for a sewer drain that comes from Hunt Park. It goes underneath the fence. We weren't sure. We thought at first it went right through the lot itself, but it does a quick right angle and goes behind the houses. So there's another 20-foot that can't be used for half of it, and the part that's not usable is a hill. So placing a shed on that property could be difficult at some point. It might have to be up, sitting in the neighbor's dining room window. So, yeah, that's it. Also, as far as Horizon goes, they've got an F rating for the Better Business Bureau, and we've gone a step up with a D rating for Cook. So that's what we're dealing with.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks so much. Anyone else like to speak for or against the application? Hold on.
Good evening, folks. I am Sue Sherman. I am with Cook Properties, the only one here from Cook tonight. in addition to what I think I tried to explain at the last meeting, and Matthew, can I address you?
Matt, only Matthew if I'm in
Okay.
trouble.
Sorry, Matt. I think you were in understanding with what I was saying before, when we applied, or when we have a customer that comes in and wants to place a house within a community, and it's not one that we own. We refer to the site plan that's already been submitted to the town as to what the sites are for the park. The park management usually tells us, these are the sites available for the home you would like to place there. They gave my customers site numbers. These are sites that you can choose from for the house that you would wish to purchase. We, of course, go by their 60-foot lots, or at least they meet the 7,200 square foot of usable space for the house. And I think it was established at the last meeting that our placement, I know that Jen does not have a problem with the one unit being placed, and that's the one we've already closed the loan on. This gal is making a payment on a house she can't live in. She was sent by the park a lease agreement that she was supposed to legally sign March 1st. She can't sign that. She can't get a permit to live there yet. So that one is absolutely crucial. Her livelihood is at stake here as to what can we do. The other gal, that's the one where we had applied for the variance permit for placement, and I believe it was my understanding at the last meeting that you agreed that the 11.3 feet or 11.5 feet was admissible, including where the steps would be placed from that patio door. I had nothing to do with the placement of that home. I understand people within any community, and I've dealt with mobile home parks for 35 years. This is not abnormal that customers, or that tenants within a community may have a problem with the neighbor's placement of such and such and such. It happens all the time. But if we're within state code requirements for placement, and we have customers that truly want to live in their homes, and these meet all the codes, and I would just ask that we can get that passed today, especially for the one. And I have advised her, seek legal counsel. You need a lawyer. You may need a lawyer, and I don't want to have you spend the money for one. But someone is at fault for whatever's happening here, and I don't truly understand it. Because you got a site plan that shows X number of sites. These houses are within those sites. I'm not getting why we're here either. So I guess I just want to say, I've got the livelihood of people at stake, and I want them to be able to live in their homes.
Let me ask you a question. then.
Yes,
There was a statement that Jen made. You work for Cook,
I do.
and she indicated, unless I was misunderstanding completely, Cook will not move the home from one lot to the other. Won't. Is that true or false?
They're in the understanding that they should not have to, based on how the permits were written and issued to begin with.
So if the,
I'm not going to speak for the upper people at Cook, per se, but we have two separate houses,
you're not answering the question.
okay?
It's either yes, no, I don't know.
To be honest with you, I don't know.
Okay.
If I were to tell you my opinion, I would say heck to the no, they're not going to want to do that, for many reasons.
If the owner says this home needs to be moved, it's a non-compliant, unbuildable lot, whatever terms that you want to use, owner said, we will pay you $5,000 to move it to, right across the street, to a compliant 60-foot lot. Will they do that?
If they're paid for the movement, I would assume that yes, they probably would.
Do you know if there's any communication between Jen, Horizon, and Cook on moving that home from the 54-foot lot, or 53, whichever one it is, to a 60-foot lot? I don't care if it's across the street or somewhere in the.
I'm unaware of communication at this point.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Would that be all right? Okay. I heard Jen say at the beginning of this, and I think the people in this room probably agree with us, even though these are two separate lots and she's looking for a variance combining them, they are two separate entities. is there any way to at least make a decision on one of them that nobody in this room has a question
I
in?
don't know where you got that impression. They're two separate variances.
Okay, then that's good.
No,
Two
it's
separate
not,
variances.
because the problem is that Jen had indicated that there's multiple lots throughout Gypsum Mills that they're going to need variances, which could mean,
For homes that have been there for a long time?
yeah, which
Okay.
could mean 10s, 20, maybe 100 variances for one parcel, one whole Gypsum Mills. This is a serious problem.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, then we understand each other.
And I knew
I
that
don't
coming
see
in.
how that's possible. I can
I don't either.
understand where houses have been moved here or there. We have a site plan. I bet if you went and surveyed it, they'd all be 60 feet per the site plan. But I bet you'd find some houses are a little more this way.
Yes.
Some houses are a little more that way.
Correct.
It would still be compliant because the code says as long as the houses are 10 feet apart, because there's no side lot lines, right? It's okay. I get it. She showed documentation that she shouldn't have, and it's not an engineering drawing. It's I guess a placement drawing or instructions to Cook or whomever to place these homes. But my gut tells me if they go and remeasure this original site plan, they're all going to be 60 feet.
I
They have
agree.
to be. Because they've probably done once or twice before. And where the houses were placed and where people mow over time, there's
Neighbors.
no stakes in the ground like in a development would have, because to Mike's point earlier, they're not technically lots, but we call them lots.
I don't particularly agree with it, because driving through that neighborhood, you can tell there are some lots that are wider than others.
Because of
Unless
how the homes were placed. The code doesn't care.
Correct.
In this situation, how necessarily the homes are placed on these lots, as long as they're 10 feet from each other, because there's no side lot lines. So as long as they're far enough back, and we can do the math, there's just as many homes as there are lots here. If you go and you measure all of this, divide it by the number, you're gonna get, you're gonna have to.
If
You're gonna
there's
get 60.
562 approved
Because
lots,
there's no.
Stop. We can't keep talking over each other, okay? Let them finish. and
There's
then
no
you can say-
way to shorten the lot sizes. If you can say usable space or use all these other terms.
Exactly.
But if this is the survey of that land, those lots in those dimensions still exist, and that's what they are. Where you put the houses on them, again, per the code, it doesn't necessarily matter as much because there's no side setbacks. It's only as long as they're 10 feet from each other. And I think that's what's confused this whole thing.
Agreed.
I agree. I put it on the applicant. They should have taken this more seriously. They should have come in here with counsel, and they probably never would have had to come in here to begin with. And back in January, both of these tenants would have been able to move into their houses. So now here we are with 53 and 54 feet on the record for 4 or 5 hours worth of deliberation here, and someone now has to prove that that it's 60 feet again. And I'm just looking at it. I'm just one person. I honestly, my one opinion is that I don't think the variance.
A home, any home,
Yes.
how do you know that those homes were placed in close proximity to what this plan dictated?
All that matters is that the homes aren't closer than 10 feet.
I disagree with that, because.
Where does it say that in the code? Because the code says in lieu of having side setbacks, as long as the homes are 10 feet from each other or more, the town is okay, because they okayed that in lieu of the side setbacks. I'm looking to add them to tell me if I'm crazy or not. So with that regard, as long as there's as many homes in this row as there are lots, and none of them are closer together than 10 feet, it doesn't matter. She'll go and she'll draw, here's the 60 feet. And it doesn't matter if the house is on what they would say the lot line, or even just over it. It would be about, as long as they're not 10 feet apart. Because there's no side setbacks. That's how this is managed, and that's how this is perceived. Again, I think we went down a rabbit hole very early on in this, because I'll be honest about myself, this is the first time I've encountered this scenario with mobile home parks and the lot lines and all that. So there's a lot of research we've all had to do on this, and it is confusing. But the code is clear. There are no side lot lines. It's in lieu of that, they've got to be 60 feet wide, and the homes have to be 10 feet apart. It doesn't say that a home, for example, couldn't straddle one of these lot lines, they've got to just be 10 feet apart. And, I mean, I would think you'd want to have them on it, but at the end of the day, as long as you have as many houses as you do lots, they're within the 10 feet. I think it's going to be, it's very easy to show there's 60 feet there. Go and measure 180 feet and put dots on each one, and it doesn't really matter where the house falls.
All right, so let me, hypothetically, you have 3 homes.
Yep.
One home to the south, one home to the north, and one that's in the middle. The one to the north and the south are straddling it closer and are pinching the one in the middle.
As long as the one in the middle is 10 feet away from them, it's perfectly okay.
I don't
It
think
might
so.
not be, the
No,
public might
that's not
want
true,
it.
because the code says they need 60 feet for that one in the middle.
No, it is on it. The 60 feet is on it. The one in the middle is on a 60-foot lot. As long as it's 10 feet away from the other homes,
I don't think so.
they're not crossing a lot
Go
line.
ahead, come on up.
The other two,
Sorry, I'll get to you next.
but the other two aren't crossing a lot
When
line.
we put it in, you can see a picture of this.
Yeah.
It's on a
Can you come to the
picture
microphone?
what I want to show you on this.
Is it one of the
Yes.
things that was submitted, pictures that was submitted?
No, I couldn't get them in here. My
Okay.
computer went, which is another story.
What do you want to do? Do you want to show us?
I'll show you this. Brought this over.
We can't hear you unless you're in a microphone, I'm sorry.
Bring it up and I can.
And that's on your... This is the only copy you have? All right, so I tell you, use your copy and we can pass this one around a little bit and... Is what's on the thumb drive this, then we can work with this, thanks.
These are.
Yeah.
Go
Go ahead.
Dick. When I went after this 4 or 5 weeks ago, and since I lost everything, I had to bring it back again. But I went online, went to the county, went to the map thing, and then you got the Google Earth, okay? I went over to my house, I measured everything out, got my 60 feet, I drew it out on that red square, you see that outline? And I brought that all the way over to Murphy. It wasn't the balloon that the Chinese had, just a joke there. Brought it over, dropped it on that lot, and dropped it on 45, 6245, and 6251, based on rough measurements of what our houses look like at 60 foot,
All right, so I just
61.
want to stop you
okay?
just a second. I've marked the copy that you sent me, gave to me as Exhibit A.
Yep.
And it's marked as Exhibit A 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5,
Okay,
okay?
yep,
So whatever page that you're talking about, so that
we're on page
record
2
is
then.
accurate, just tell me you are looking at Exhibit A1 or A2, and then tell us
Okay.
what you want.
All right, so looking at A2,
Okay.
I brought that plot over, that square box over, red line, and dropped it over the houses, okay? You will notice that the plots or the houses are not truly square within a foot of Murphy Drive. You notice that right about looking down in. A couple of people have noticed that, have done measurements.
And the box is 60 feet wide, you're saying?
Yes.
How do you know
Roughly,
that?
Roughly. I measured my plot over on Roberts Drive, drew out my line, okay, 60 foot wide, and this is all rough. It's,
What you don't know is where each of those two homes, 6245 and 6251, are in relation to the fictitious lot
Yes,
line, side
yes.
line. Right, you just centered it.
I'm centered it over them homes, okay, based on, we have like 5 feet on each side, and so that line is kind of trying to maintain that. But you can see that no matter where the placement is, the lot at 6249 is definitely smaller than 60 foot wide.
Well, but it's only smaller than 60 feet wide because 6245, you placed it where, I mean, you can easily also do the same drawing and show that
Oh,
6249
yeah,
is
yeah.
60 feet.
But I'm just saying, what I did was, based
They may
on,
measure it and they may say, oh, look, the 60 feet is.
if you look,
is here.
if you look at where the homes are, okay? That I use the same distance between the house and that line and the garage and the lines from my house, okay, based on what I'm mowing and what my plot showed, which they give us a plot which isn't stamped. It shows it's 60 foot and then goes back, places my shed, my patio and everything on, everything's out there in feet. But it's not stamped, it's a drawing, not like this. It's not a surveyor. Pizzario, what was the name of the? Plot plan. Pizzario, who drew it out, what you got, so I'm told, okay, years ago, when Morgan owned it, or even Murphy, maybe.
Yeah, Passario. Yep.
Okay, Pissarro. Okay, that's what we got when my lawyer looked at it and we purchased the house and we put money down on that lot. That's what we did. So that's what I used that for, as a reference, that square. It's damn close, closer to anything you're seeing here, okay? I don't do that that's the truth. So when you plot them, okay, no matter if you move it a little bit to the north, you're gonna bump into the house, or south, you're gonna bump, but you're not getting the same distance. You're not getting 60 foot between those lines, no matter what you do. Matt?
I don't know, I'm looking at it and it looks, if that one goes north a little bit, it looks like you'd fit a third box in the middle to me.
But I can't get there because of the house above it. Take a look where that line runs down through.
Yeah, you've got another 5 feet. That other house could be right on the line.
Yep.
It could be right on it. And,
But I'm just saying, this is just a picture of what we're looking at.
but if I take this red box on the top and I move it and I put the house right on the lot line, you'll fit just looking at it, you'll fit a third one in there. I mean, it's all close, right? I mean,
Yes,
we're all
it's very
looking at
close.
satellite photos and we're drawing squares in PowerPoint or something here. But to me, I look at that and there's plenty of, there,
You might be up a couple of feet,
you
but
can
you're
also
not.
make the same case that here's how it fits. Because,
But
again,
if-
depending
Can we
on.
go on? Can we go on from that? Yes, I agree with you. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm right, you're right. Go with that? Okay, I checked this out. I used to do this out of the whim. This
No,
was
no,
hours and
I
hours of
appreciate-
work I did.
Well, this is all great stuff.
Okay, all right. So I got to page A3, you got 6249 and 65-1, 649's on the left. We measured over the 5 foot, with just about where that red line is a person holding it. And between the garage, a 51, to that line is 5 foot. And right on the other side of that arborvitae is the power pole, okay? Which comes out just about center of where that power pole is, okay? Now you're looking at the voltage box and the communication boxes in front of there, okay? That's 5 foot. Let's go to page A4. It says platform and steps. I dropped in and tried to, I got this close to being what I figured 4 foot is, okay? And dropped that little yellow box on. Any steps has got to be roughly 4 foot wide, and that's what I call a structure. I was told as a structure by engineering people, okay? So when you're talking about measuring from a structure, you're talking houses, we're talking structures. So that's an argument that we can have, a discussion, okay? So you can see how much closer. Now you can look in there and you can see where the voltage box is out towards the road. By the red line that's there. So when you go to move snow, in the last 3 winters that I've been here, we seem to get 10 inches in a whop. You know, and I don't care if you blow it out, shovel it, or push it, you're not gonna get much room, you're gonna bury them steps or that thing that's out from that house. You're that close. 3 to 5 feet is not enough, even with 10 feet between my driveway or more, between my neighbor's house, I got plenty of room to put snow in there, 10 feet plus. When you put a structure out from there and bring it 5 foot over, you're really limited. You gotta agree with that. Just the point I'm making to that. As far as having a variance, go ahead, put your steps in.
And I think,
The other part, we go to A5.
one thing on this one, I think everyone in the room, everyone, even Cook, it sounds like, is not happy with the placement of the house,
Oh, yeah,
right?
I agree, I agree.
Right, there's,
And I gotta agree with everybody, if it is, then move it. Sorry, I'm just, to keep making a mistake and let it be that way just
when you
doesn't
look
make
at
it.
us to say move it, I think you're looking at
I
the
know,
wrong, you're looking at the wrong organization to say move it.
So I just put the steps in, just gives you an idea what it's gonna look like and how close everything is. You know, voltage box, steps of any sort going in there. So,
In the discussion we had at the last meeting, I'm not sure if you were here on the steps where that,
yes,
it's not about lot lines, and I get it, it's placed like that. But those steps, I believe the corner, from corner to corner was like 12 feet, or something to that effect.
yes. Could I have the number of where that code is? Because I have looked on your site and looked on it. And I remember that came up and somebody brought it up there, and I can't find it, because we looked underneath manufacturing codes. It's not there that I've seen.
It's, it's right in the first couple paragraphs.
Is it under 184 or something?
138-6,
Is there 138-6 is what it is?
138-6B.
And is that in the manufacturer code? Because everything in manufacturer is 180s.
This is in the Town of Victor code.
Town of Victor code.
Right. The 10-foot requirement.
So what supersedes the manufacturing codes or the Town of Victor codes?
Right.
And what do you call a
The
structure?
10 feet that you're referring to is in the health department's.
Health Department,
Yeah.
which wasn't in the manufacturing code that I saw.
I'm not sure about what's in the manufacturing.
I'm pretty
We
sure.
were also asked for an interpretation of what does that mean in the
Right.
last meeting. We made a determination, an interpretation, and there's a resolution. So that's how it's measured, 10 feet between the homes.
So that supersedes,
Structures, sorry.
Structures, and the stairs are a structure.
Stairs
Just
are a
happens to be
structure.
12 feet away
Yeah.
from the nearest other structure.
so a structure, when we talk about 10 feet between homes,
10 feet between
Structures,
structures.
so if the
Structures.
deck is permanently affixed to the home, you count the deck, the steps, whatever
All right.
that is.
okay,
And the steps, I believe, are 12.
Okay.
Close, it's all close, all real close, but it's
yeah. Anyway, goal I'm having not to be a kind of complainer, I believe in solutions. That's what I do all my life is fix things, okay? And hopefully we can fix this and just want to make sure that we all understand what the codes mean and that people are following them. From the manager of the park to the people bringing in and setting it up. And it seemed to me a step was missed here, a big step, where there was no communication from when the house first arrived. Nobody said, I got to go see the manager, or I got to get the permit. Was the permit showing the layout? And I seen that it wasn't the correct layout or plot, whatever it was called when it was handed to you, or to the code enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Wanted to say something?
Hello. I wasn't able to come last time. I'm Caitlin Yakel. I'm one of the owners of the trailers at hand. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous.
It's okay, take your time.
But, I mean, we've been going through this for a long time. It seems like every step that we go through, it's been just so much. And, sorry. And, I don't know. My boyfriend that's supposed to be living with us is now just like hopping between homes because he doesn't know where he's going. Like, it's just hard because, I mean, it doesn't seem like these meetings are helping with anything. Like, it keeps saying that, like, it could be skewed either way, but I don't think moving it's going to help at all either, because we're going to have that same type of issue. Is it 60 feet or is it not? So, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No.
We are
I kind of lost everything as
you
soon
need
as
to
I got
choose-
up here. I'm good.
No, it's okay. We understand the gravity of it, and we are, if hopefully, the community, everyone can tell the questions that we're asking and the amount of time that we're spending on this, debating, deliberating, trying to get the right answer.
Yeah.
We are taking this very seriously.
I know. And I'm glad that you are, and I'm glad that we found this issue because it seems like it's gonna be, it's a big issue. It doesn't seem like any of those lots are the right amount of size. I mean, technically, I mean, the way you're moving them, they all are all technically within the same, like
It's all-
within the
it's all
60.
Very confusing.
Yes.
I believe, based on engineering drawings, that all of the lots are 60 feet wide.
Just
But
depends
how it
on
was
where in
presented
those.
in January to us, it wasn't presented as 60-foot wide lots. We were presented as 53 and 54-foot lots.
Right.
In the last time, we did go through a lot of detail in that newer mobile homes are 26 feet, 8 inches wide, and
Right.
the older ones, the ones made 10, 15 plus years ago, were 22 or something to that effect, were smaller. And it is a larger sized mobile home than the area, but
Than what
it's
they're,
still.
they're used to
But
in
it,
their
but it still
trailer home.
fits within the code, although not everybody's liking in the one particular placement is also, not the best, just to say the least, of one of the homes.
I could hit the gravity of the situation here. There are three choices. Those two parcels either need a variance, or they don't need a variance, or there needs to be something done to convince the board of either one of the two.
Right.
And to Matt's point, it's like, well, I think where he's going is, there's no need for a variance, because relying on the site plan is, they're all compliant, it's all good, and it was an error, harmless error.
Somebody else's behalf.
53 feet, 54 feet. I am not convinced that that is the solution to the problem. I'd like to make sure we get it right on whether or not we do or do not need a variance, because this isn't just two issues. If it's a
gonna be a
much
lot.
bigger problem, if it's 4, 5, 10, 20 variances that are needed, that means it is an enormous problem. And if you start granting 20 variances for one parcel, this is the whole gypsum mills, that means the language of the code requiring 60 feet of road frontage is completely dismantled.
Right.
We cannot, as a board, rewrite the code.
So what would happen if, say you did bring a code inspector out or whatever, and you measured it and found that almost all of these properties are not within the good amount, I mean, the 60 feet? I mean, what are you gonna do with all the houses that have been there for so many years?
Honestly,
Do you
I think
move
that would
them?
be a low probability of happening.
Low probability that they're all
they're-
I
skewed?
wouldn't even guess at that.
I'm looking, only because I'm looking at an engineering document with all of the lots on them, in the same number of lots as homes. And I just find it hard to believe that those documents are wrong. I find it hard to believe this document's wrong. I find it very hard to believe this document's wrong. I'd bet a paycheck that it's right. And if you told me there were a few extra mobile homes in there, I'd be with Mike, going, oh, okay, wait a minute, someone's double dipping somewhere, there's extra homes. But there's one home per lot on this. That's my, again, one person's opinion, that's how this whole thing unfolded. Mike said it more eloquently than me, that it was call it an innocent mistake that brought us down a rabbit hole, with these drawings here being presented as engineering drawings or lot drawings, and they're not.
If this was just one lot, I think I'd be more likely to say, Matt, you know what, you're right, because
She did the same thing. I bet she's got this exact same drawing for all the lots that show 50-something feet.
I'm not comfortable at this point,
Yes.
because I don't have enough information on whether or not we need a variance or no variance, whether or not we need a variance. There isn't, the original site plan just tells me how it was supposed to be. what we're hearing from the community is it doesn't appear that that's what's happening.
I don't know about that. I agree that they don't like that the homes are larger than the homes that are in the neighborhood, and that the bigger homes are tighter. I totally agree, and the placement of one home is just not to anybody's liking, including myself, when you look at it all.
Bigger homes are on larger lots.
I'd
are
love
there
to see if
larger
there's-
lots?
It's, again, we can have some
Because each one of
discrepancies
them
over
are
lots.
60.
Some lots are bigger than others, but all of these, it's really, really small writing. I wish I had a large one, but all of them look like they have 60 feet wide. In the lot difference is usually the depth in the size of the lot.
All right, wait, what I don't really, we've been, it's, and stop, please stop, please stop, please stop.
close.
Please stop, please stop.
When you measure it,
Matt,
I'm just saying, I agree that they're close, but when you measure it, it's per the code, and we're about the code.
I understand your position, you feel you have enough information to, and however the motion is drafted, that no variance is required. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. And I don't think anybody's going to say anything different that's going to help us decide whether or not a variance is needed. So I appreciate everybody's comments. I think we know where everybody stands. But I'd like to know from, excuse me? Oh, somebody said something. Alexis, do you have enough information to rule on a motion on whether or not there's enough information for a variance here? To grant or deny a variance?
Would we be voting on the variance?
Well, I think there's three choices. Either, one, we don't need a variance, or they don't need a variance. Two, there's enough information, and I will rule for or against a variance. Or three, it's like, I don't have enough, and if they're willing, Horizon, to say, yeah, we see that this is serious, we will show you that we don't need a variance because all these pieces are lining up in place and there's 60 foot of road frontage.
I'm fine if we vote tonight. They've asked for a variance. They want an answer.
Okay, so you have enough information today to rule for or against the variance.
Yes.
Leah, you have enough information?
I'd want more information.
What did it get missed? What did it get missed? That's all. That's all I got for you. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Leah said she'd like more information. Doesn't mean if a motion was put before her, doesn't mean that she won't vote today. And Fred said the same thing.
I won't vote for it because I don't want to get it wrong.
All we need is a first and a second to vote.
Right.
So you have
You
two
could,
people.
you could rule in favor, oppose it, you can abstain if you want to, you can vote how you please.
Would you like an answer tonight, or do you want to come back is really the question here.
So if we get an answer tonight, then, and if it's a negative, that the variance isn't going to be granted, then we would have to go a whole nother route, right?
That's correct.
I think
And
you have 60 feet.
I would recommend then you speak to council and figure out what those remedies are.
I say let's take a vote, because if anything can get passed tonight, then I'll get passed tonight. If not, then we'll make other choices. I mean, if a decision can be made tonight separately,
Right, so if you, the method is, if you decide to reapply for these, hypothetically, the board denies both variances. Your remedy is not to reapply for variances. You're going to have to appeal the decision. Called an Article 78, we don't hear it, you'd have to go to court and appeal it. You are precluded from reapplying for those same variances for a whole year. The only way to prevent that is to withdraw, and you can reapply at any time that you want. So it comes with some consequences. If the board decides that you don't get a variance, it's denied, there are legal consequences to it.
I honestly would like to recommend or see them give them the time and go validate this. Go pay someone to validate where the locations and the widths of the two homes and the homes adjacent with a surveyor. That's my opinion. And then when that, if that comes back and it validates this, you don't even need to be back here. You're back with him, and you're showing him where those stakes are on the ground. And if they're all 60 feet, there's no variance to be had. That's,
If you can show the board, it's the
You don't even
code
need to
enforcement
be back
officer, that, just like he's described, got a surveyor out there, all these homes are aligned, there's 60 foot of frontage for all of those homes, and the two that we thought we needed variances for 6261 and 6249, we don't need variances because there is in fact 60 feet, and the drawings that were submitted were an error, and right, you don't need a variance. But right now, I don't have enough information that that's accurate. Matt sounds like he's got enough information.
not to vote, to say they don't need to be here.
That they
That's
don't,
my
right. Sounds like Fred wants some more information. Leah wants some more information. So I've asked you, do you want to provide more information such as, I'm not telling you have to do that. It is your option. Say, yeah, I can show you by a survey map, or talk to legal counsel. How are we going to show the board that we don't need a variance here? Use your resources, or don't. It's up to you. You're in control here.
Well, I know that we're gonna have an issue no matter what with one of the homes, so I guess we'll just get everything measured. We'll just get everything surveyed. But we only have to survey the 2 lots. We're not being asked to survey our entire,
Oh, right. The
our
only thing that's
entire
on the
park.
table now are those 2 lots.
Okay,
That's what you like to do?
sure, yes, that's what we'll do.
So we will table it until the next meeting. And it sounds like what you'd like to do is talk to Horizon, maybe talk to legal counsel. Here's what's happening.
So if we get the survey though, and we have the 60 feet, then I don't have to come back to this meeting.
Talk to the code enforcement officer. If the code enforcement
Yeah.
officer is satisfied that, got it, understood, you do, for those 2 lots, you have 60 feet of frontage, then no, you don't need a variance. But you're asking me to get out my crystal ball, which I don't have, and tell you exactly what's going to happen when
You should bring it next time.
I magic 8 ball, that's all I have. I don't have I think that's the path, is that would provide so much more information on that you're complying with this site plan. And those people who are out of their homes can get in. Quicker you do that, quicker that they can get into their homes.
Okay.
Like a plan?
Yep. Just for the record, I never made anyone sign a lease. That was
Never
put out
made-
to everyone, that someone said someone said I was trying to force someone to sign a lease, and I did not, so I just wanted to let everyone know that.
Okay. That's not an issue.
I know, but I just don't want that on record that I did that, so.
Sounds like you have some homework. I think you know what you need to do. If you need to know or have questions about how this works, talk to your counsel, don't start he said, she said, and they told. You have resources and a pretty big corporation that should be able to help you through this. Okay? Thanks. See you next time. Where's the, oh, I marked it. Whose is this? So do you want to hang on to this? 'Cause I imagine they're going to come back next time.
I'm expecting they're
Is that it for the agenda?
Oh, no.
Oh, he's got.
Yes?
citizens get a copy of that survey?
Here, I'll just give you mine.
It should be,
I mean,
aren't that all the documents online?
it should all be online, but
You can foil anything you want.
Is it online?
That is not physically, but you can foil anything you want through the town clerk's office. But you can have that site plan.
Excuse me, sir, what you put up?
What do you need?
I just wanted to know how come we couldn't see what you guys were seeing and what he was carefully mapping out with that 1, 2, 3, 4.
I've got it right here.
That would have been a help, you know, to know what, because I don't know what your point was to say that it is accurate or it isn't accurate.
No, I was
If there's
just
60
pointing
feet
out
of-
that
Okay, wait, I gotta stop all this, because this isn't gonna work. If there's dialogue between whether you're for or against, if the questions come to the board, that's much cleaner, it's easier, it's just gonna get out of hand. So if you have a question for us, you know, why couldn't you see it, or what would you, I'm not quite following.
Okay, I do have a question. This is just, when the gentleman came up who had all of the Exhibit A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what was the point of that? Was it saying, yes, there are 60 feet between lots?
I believe what he's trying to show is that there's not, that his boxes that he was putting over,
You can see them, they're right here, come on. And we kind of both walked away, I believe, saying it's kind of inconclusive, right? Because it really, what he was saying is right here, this is smaller. And my point was that, look, this box could easily be a little more, so I see it as, it's kind of inconclusive because this house might be right on the lot line. And if it is, you can fit another one in there. And there's a margin of error here that we're all playing with. He did prove and show that, right, it's about 10 to 12 feet from the steps, and he made a good point that it's all really close, and it's all really tight, and it's all undesirable by the homeowners. My pushback a little bit was that it may be true, but it's still per the code.
Okay.
That's, all the other homes might be, or they obviously are, they're a lot farther from other homes and things, but it just works out, it's a larger home, and it's misplaced on the lot itself, no one would disagree with that, and so that made things a lot tighter than it should be in certain areas.
And was I supposed to identify myself properly?
sure,
Okay, Sharon Madison.
thank you.
I'm the mom of the one with, it's 61, and she never wants me to come up, but I don't know how you make any decisions if you don't have all the information. So I was just curious, when you were speaking earlier, I think you were talking to Jen, and you said, or maybe it was Sue, that you said if somebody paid $5,000 towards having one of these houses, you know, moved to some other site,
Right.
why would that be the new owner's expense rather
I
than
never
the?
said it was the new one.
No, that's what I'm asking, is, I thought what you meant was, did I misunderstand that? Would it be Cook's responsibility to move it?
That's between the homeowner and Cook and the owners of the property. It was a hypothetical to flush out whether or not that home could be moved, to what cost, whose responsibility for it. Because what I'm trying to sort through all that is, it's certainly not, should not be the homeowner to move a home from one to the other unless it was by their choice.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate the clarification. And I appreciate everybody going through
Welcome.
what you're going through.
Thanks so much for your patience.
Sorry, I'm the homeowner of 6249 Sherry Acre. First off, wouldn't you think that Jen would have checked when they were putting the footers in where this house was going to go? I don't know nothing about this. Why wasn't she doing her job and checking where this was supposed to go and stopping it right then and there and say, hey, you got to scooch it over? Or she's saying now, okay, well, now I'll move that to a larger lot. When she gave me a map of like 5 different spots and said, just pick one, they're all the same size. I'm going by what she's saying.
I appreciate.
I
the
think
question.
she's sitting here lying the whole time.
She's not here, so.
Well, that's because she quickly took off.
There's no doubt in my mind, every member.
It's
of
very
this board-
frustrating.
Every member of this board is taking this matter very, very seriously. It is a complex issue. This isn't just a shed or a fence. This involves multiple homeowners. We are doing our very best to get this right. So that's where we are. We're going to give her an opportunity. No, I'm sorry, I didn't bring the point issue. We're giving the Gypsum Mills, Jen, Horizon, an opportunity to provide us with sufficient information. Where their argument now is say, we don't need a variance, show us. If they can't show us, then they've had their chance, and the board then will make a decision on whether or not they want to grant the variance.
But how long does this stuff take? Because we've already, like, she's making payments. I bought this house almost a year ago.
I understand that. Right now,
Something has to be done.
I said it the last
Oh,
time.
I know.
I said it the last time. If you think that your rights have been violated, go seek legal counsel. Go call your assemblyman. Call the attorney general. Call legal aid. There's multiple places that you can call and says, I need help. I don't know what to do. Here's what's happening. There are resources out there.
But I did call a lawyer, and the lawyer told me as long as they were making steps to go forward, I had no grounds at that point. I don't know where else to go. We're just stuck, sitting here waiting. So I don't know.
I don't know what it is that we can't.
No,
we're
not
gonna-
necessarily
we're
you
doing
guys, but I'm just
anything
saying.
more-
No, I know. It's just so frustrating.
I understand it's frustrating, but hopefully you can appreciate what we're doing our very best.
Oh, no,
is to
I
get it-
appreciate you all.
is to get it, thank you. is
I
to
just
get
don't
this right.
appreciate what they did.
I understand that.
Thank you.
Thanks, you have a good night. You know what, unless it's pivotal, it's absolutely pivotal. You can't wait. Can't wait till next time.
Come on up.
Please be brief.
Very brief. Just a quick question. Who determines where the survey line starts?
That's going to be for the surveyor, hopefully to find out what's called a monument, and start from the monument and measure out.
So they'll be measuring more than the 2 lots. They're going to have to, I'm guessing.
Don't guess.
No,
That's
based
not-
on my many years of experience.
They'll
I
measure
don't know
what they pay
I don't
them
know
to
what
measure.
they're going to
Okay.
do, all right? I don't, again,
Okay.
I don't have a crystal ball. At issue are those 2 lots.
Okay,
Your surveyor marks off from a monument, measures off that these are where these 2 lots are. Here's how it can be shown that there's 60 feet of frontage for this lot and that lot. Then shows it to the code enforcement officer. The code enforcement officer that says, no, you still need a variance, or no, we're good. Everything is fine. That's how that works.
okay.
All right,
That's all I was wanting to know. All right.
thanks. All right, I think we're done with that piece. Just to let everyone know, I think Matt is, I already talked to Matt. I'm not going to be here on April 3rd, so he's going to cover. I'll be back for the next meeting. The other piece is, I've been looking into some, a training schedule. I found some good pieces. Part of it was from HR asked for me to look into it, and I think there's also some courses that the state runs, but there's other courses that could give us a really good perspective on what it is, how to present an application, where the challenges come from, those kinds of things. There's case law to it. So it's on video. There's probably, I think in total, about, 2.5, 3 hours. We don't have to watch it all at once. What HR is asking, though, is for, to set up a time. Susie, you know this, don't you? Yeah, okay. So coordinate through Susie and find a time when we all can meet, run the video. If it's hopefully, it's about a block of an hour. We watch it, and then we're done. We have some discussion about what it means, and it counts for our training. So put that in your thinking cap. If you want it to be, like, say, after a Monday meeting, great. If you want it to be a different night, we can do that. So let's talk about what is best for our, our schedules on when you'd like to see. I know we work and do different things. Give me an email and give me some dates, or rather, days of the week, if it's Tuesday night, Wednesday, whatever the case may be. And then we'll start to coordinate it. That's some stuff. Sound good? Yeah. All right. Anything else?
After meeting sounds good to me.
All right, well then, I'll make a note of that, and everyone else can think about that, and Adam, have anything for us? Okay, good. Anyone else? Good, good, good. Okay, thank you so much. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Thanks so much. Have a good night.